Hello, welcome back to the channel. And today we'll be doing the recap of Championship Week. First time in a long time. Not any of us were playing a game this weekend. But other than that, how was everyone's weekend?
Uneventful, actually.
Yeah, I would say like the best part of my whole weekend was one of the games, having a bet on one of these teams and it paying out at the end of the day after having one of the most nervous afternoons possible. But yeah, we'll get into that eventually. But
I really wasn't impressed with anything either this weekend. Like,
yeah,
a lot of the games really, to me, didn't live up to the hype. We'll go through them, but I mean the games. I'll say this: the game that I thought was going to be the closest ended up being the biggest blowout.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll start on Friday. Action Genti again has this unbelievable run. They win 21-7. UNLV, I knew my bet was wrong the moment the kicker walked out in the field with winter mitts on. And I knew that the bet was dead. There was no chance. I'm pretty sure they dropped probably 20 passes in this game.
Yeah, it was bad.
They could not catch the ball.
No.
It was cold. They do not play well in the cold. Like,
I think a lot of people kind of said that going into it. Like, they play in a dome. They're from Vegas anyways, and they're going to Boise, and it's going to be cold on a Friday night.
And yeah, it was like 20 degrees, and they couldn't touch the ball. They couldn't do anything, honestly.
The quarterback, Maddox Madsen. They did a thing that their whole team is named after like starting pitchers. The whole team, the whole family was named after like elite starting pitchers in like whatever the 80s, whatever the hell it was. I don't know.
The 90s, sir. The 90s.
Same thing. And they loved it. And he's actually got a lot of swagger. I think he's pretty good. Obviously, he beat out Malachi Nelson, former 5-star. And then the tight end Lauder has been good the whole season. Like those two actually did a ton. Madison did a lot more in their first matchup when Gentry wasn't doing much. He had Gentry had the classic, brutal first like quarter and a half. And then everyone's talking about how he's having a bad game. And then
he had a 75-yarder
to the house. Yep. So, and then also shout out to the Boise State crowd. Great crowd. A lot of awesome signs. Like the sign that was snaps aren't a stat. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing this kid's not winning the Heisman, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's really disappointing. He's probably going to break. It definitely, if they play 2 games in the tournament, he's going to break Barry's record in college, which is, I mean, look, I get he's played more games. I get he's had more snaps. He's had more carries. Like, look, it doesn't matter. He's amazing. I'm glad he got invited, but we know he's coming in second.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Yeah. The next game, the Cozzi's team, the Army, takes on Tulane and absolutely dominates. If there was any like doubt, if there was a team, hypothetically, if Boise would have lost somehow, I think this would have made a little bit of a hiccup in the committee on what they were going to do. But Army absolutely left no doubt on the field. That's for sure.
So I want to touch on this, and it may be a little telling of something that I'm a little worried about. I thought Tulane was a little bit better.
Yeah.
And now seeing what Army did to them, and look, I know transitive property doesn't work in college football, but Notre Dame might be for real.
Yeah.
And and they have a very good path, which we'll touch on here soon.
Yep. And then the final game, shout out Bryson Daly, 5 touchdowns again. Unbelievable. Just runs all over the field.
Yep.
And then the final game,
I would like to say I thought he should have at least got a Heisman invite.
I thought so as well. But
I mean, and you know what? The funny thing is, ABC even mentioned it. They said, "Oh, he'll have something to do after the Army Navy game. He'll have to fly to New York." And it's like, then I see they invited 4 people, and it's like
they invited 2. I just don't.
I mean, he's not a quarterback. You got to view him as a running back, and he's not even close to anything good in the running backs. Like, Scadaboo would go over him 10 times out of 100.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Like, I'm looking at his rush yards. He's the 9th leading rusher. I mean, he's got the most touchdowns, but he's got 1,000 yards less than Gentney on only 50 less carries.
Yeah.
So,
and then the last game of the day, Jacksonville State dominates Western Kentucky. Jacksonville State, Rich Rod, kind of being under consideration for a couple jobs here.
Yeah.
Homecoming in that's not Boone, is it? No, Boone is App State. Morgantown.
Yeah. Yes, Morgantown. Yes. Should be interesting to see if he gets that job. Man, they dominated this game. Like they after a week after they lose to Western Kentucky, I didn't watch. Obviously, I don't think either one of us or any of us watched the Jacksonville State Western Kentucky game the week before.
Nope.
What were they? What were they doing?
Because
I don't know. I don't even know if Huff played the week before, their quarterback, but that Huff had 110 rush yards in the first quarter, and that was when you're like, okay, hold on. Yeah. They ended up rushing for 300 yards as a team. I mean, they were just killing them. They destroyed them. They were still killing them.
They destroyed them.
Let me see here if Huff played against Western Kentucky. Oh, he did, but it looks like he might have gotten hurt. I mean, he was 3 for 11 passing the ball.
Oh yeah, then either he got hurt or they literally were like.
No, he had 13 rushes, but the stats don't add up. He must have gotten benched or something. But
maybe here's the thing: they knew they were already going to host the Conference USA Championship game. Maybe they actually sat players.
3 for 11 is crazy. Let me look into this. Yeah, he wasn't the leading passer. They had some Smothers kid came in.
Yeah, seriously. I wonder if they actually sat players because they were already undefeated in the conference, hosting the game no matter what.
Yeah, they mentioned the Huff kid was banged up, so maybe there's something to that. I don't know, but they absolutely went crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice because you're able to watch that game first, and by the time the Army game came on, it was already like 24-3.
It was a blowout. It was done. Yeah, there was no contest.
28-3. So
we'll start on early on the day on Saturday. The Sun Belt, Marshall dominates Louisiana 31-3. Charles Huff. Remember when we said that all the players are going to get biscuits now? Well, now they're going to get biscuits at Southern Miss if they have that there, because he accepted the job to be the Southern Miss head coach. So he's on a little bit of a move.
Marshall must have known something was coming because they hired their next head coach the very next day.
Yeah. The other game, totally a blowout. I did not expect this. Ohio dominates Miami of Ohio 38-3. It's like the second big. Blake was right. It's like the second biggest MAC championship spread win in history.
And who balled out? My two boys I talked about the entire time. Navarro was a running back, quarterback. In Tyus, this kid, I don't know what his eligibility status is. He has Michigan State running back written all over him. Like back when Michigan State used to be competitive. Like tall, big, physical Michigan kid.
The bad news for them is he's a senior.
And he's from Michigan, of course.
That's what I'm saying. He's a big, tall, bruising. Like he's like 6'2", big guy from Michigan.
Yeah.
That the 2-star, maybe 3-star used to be the D'Antonio bread and butter, but they don't do that anymore. So him and Navarro.
I'm pretty sure Parker Navarro has one more year left. So
so Miami's. So we're gonna get into a weird situation here, and we can talk about it a little bit later. I mean, Miami's team is going to be depleted from the portal. They've already lost their top 2 receivers, and their quarterback was freshman of the year. He's already in the portal. Like they're gonna lose everything here.
They started 3-0. They're up 3-0, and then 38 unanswered.
So that's going to be the thing, and we can talk about it obviously about the portal and stuff like that. What's going to start happening with these like smaller teams when they win with younger players?
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about. Being disappointed is the next thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, the next game is a Big 12 championship. Arizona State dominates Iowa State 45-19. Sketabo plays an unbelievable game, like 100 yards after contact, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sam Levitt had a pretty good game as well. He had a rushing touchdown, and I think 2 passing touchdowns, or maybe 3. I mean, Iowa State just looked dead the entire game, and Arizona State didn't take their foot off the gas.
I think when the momentum swayed was when they drove down the field and then they missed a 46-yard field goal from pretty reliable kicker all year in Iowa State's kicker. And then it was like, okay, they got that touchdown. on the they get touchdown on the punt return or something? No, they got
They walked around on the field. If they scored, it was 3. I think it was what 3-0 Arizona State, and then
that's right. Yes. Yep.
Iowa State scored a touchdown, and then Arizona State walked down through again.
Okay, so it was 17-10. When it was 17-10 and they missed the field goal, that's when the whole momentum went out the door for Iowa State. And I look, I didn't have really much of a dog in the fight. I liked either one of these teams. I think both coaches are great. I think Dillingham is awesome what he's done in 2 years. Now there's expectations. Let's see what he does going forward. I mean, they're in the playoffs, so let's see what he does in the playoffs. It just, with their team and overall, like Iowa State, I kind of felt bad for their fans because they have never been good historically. Like, this is their first 10-win season ever.
Yeah.
And they just kind of sat there and were like, oh, crap. And another newcomer to a conference wins their conference title. So,
yeah. We'll move on. We got pretty much 3 games left, and we'll kind of break it down a little bit. First, we'll start off at the SEC, which I kind of had an expectation that this game was going to be close. I didn't expect it to go this way. It was a lot of field goals and a lot of mistakes.
It looked like a Big Ten West game.
Yeah, they played very slow.
Yep.
A lot of missed passes, I don't know what was wrong with Quinn Ewers, to be honest. He was just throwing the ball into the dirt plenty of times. I mean, he had almost 20 incompletions in this game.
Yeah.
And he threw the ball 46 times. I don't know what to expect from either of these teams. Carson Beck out potentially the entire playoff now with something injured in his shoulder. They said they're going to kind of take it week by week. They don't know how long he's going to be out. But yeah, the backup comes in, looks pretty good. And then they rely on what they do well and running the ball, and Etienne wins them the game in overtime.
So Texas, the main thing where Texas lost this game at, and had to be when Georgia threw the pick. Now, first off, Stockton, just awful throw. Like, not quite sure why the one defensive back for Texas didn't hit his block, because if he hits that block, it's probably a pick six. Missed opportunities for Texas there. They get the ball back. Obviously, they go down and they tie the game. But, I mean, you have missed opportunity there as well. I mean, you're driving down the field, and then you just kind of take, like, a very bad sack with, like, 29 seconds left. I mean, it seemed like I felt like the whole game, like, Texas was going to somehow pull this out just because of the inexperience of Georgia's quarterback. But when we got to overtime and they settled for a field goal, I knew it was over. I mean, you saw the writing on the wall.
I mean, it's weird because they're playing the wrong quarterback. It's pretty clear at this point that the offense that they're running, Quinn Ewers isn't good enough to throw the football the ways they want to do. Like, he throws that one out, and it was way worse. It's, I don't know. And Manning would come in, and he'd even he's doing like the JJ almost at this point, where he just comes in and runs for one play and then comes back out. I mean, it was probably their best play. In overtime was like a 7-8 yard run up the middle by Arch, and that was pretty much it.
I mean, anytime it was third and short, they brought him in. Anytime it was something in short, they would bring him in. It's so weird because he has
Quinn can't sneak. The Lions should do that with Hooker. That's a whole different issue. But they love just throwing it deep. They just kept doing the same thing, making zero adjustments by Texas. I don't know why they went away from the run like they did in weeks past. They had the game won at the half. Georgia was dead, buried. Yep. Then their quarterback died the play before the half.
Yeah.
And you had nothing. I think the spread at the halftime was like 10 or 11 to Texas. And you just let them back in the game. Plus, your kicker sucks. So one of these days, these teams are going to get good kickers, and it's going to be over. Shout out Zavada coming back, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was just a hard-fought game. I kind of had a feeling once it was overtime, Georgia was going to win. I kind of had that feeling that Texas isn't playing up to par. They can't do
not. And Georgia's not really. I mean, who knows what Georgia is? I mean, look, the new guy, the new quarterback, he wasn't bad. I mean, Stockton actually was not terrible in this game. Yeah, he made some mistakes, but I mean, he was 12 of 16, and he moved the offense much better than Carson Beck did.
Yeah.
I mean, Beck was terrible, but
yeah. We'll just move on. I think we'll do the ACC, then we'll do the Big Ten.
Outstanding game.
Great game. Clemson goes up 24-7 at halftime. Plays unbelievable in the first half. Blake texts me. He goes, everything's going right. Everything's kind of how I saw it to happen. And then they just kind of went stagnant on offense for a while there. Kind of allowed SMU to come back into the game. I mean, this is everything you would want to see from a playoff team in the second half, okay?
Klubnik looked terrible in the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked awful.
If you want a team, which we'll talk about after this, but if you want a team that will prove in a big game that they can come back and make this a game and prove that they'll be able to win and play like this in big games, I mean, Kevin Jennings played unbelievable in the second half. Came out, two turnovers in the game overall, but I mean, three passing touchdowns in the second half to tie the game, 31-31 with 16 seconds left. And then Nolan Hauser for Clemson, they get a couple plays, they get down the field. Everybody's like, why are they kicking this? This is unbelievable. It's like 56, 57-yarder, and he nails it. So shout out to Clemson. Shout out to Blake's Lock of the Week. They kind of figured it out at the end. I mean, but that's one of those things you just can't go that stagnant in the second half because, I mean, there was a strong chance that they would have lost this game if they didn't have such a good kicker. So,
yep. Sorry, Michigan's offensive coordinator is about to be hired.
It just got announced.
Yeah, pretty much, and people are not liking it. I think it's great. People are not liking it. We'll talk about it later.
Yep. Yep. And then, Blake, you have any comments on the game?
Look, man. It's Clemson's just doing their thing. I was trying to explain to people all week. Look, you bet the coach in these spots, right? Look at how many coaches. I think the more experienced coach, barring a few idiots, won on a lot of levels here, right? Obviously, it's Kirby Smart and Dabo. This is their weekend every year. They win it every time, basically, right? It makes sense. The Dillingham is a whole different thing, but whatever. And the Big Ten we'll get to in a minute. But just you got to rely on the coaching. Clemson was doing their thing up front. I will say, as someone that had locked the week of Clemson and loved Clemson heavy, and I'm very happy they're in the playoff. Look, the refs were an absolute debacle in this game. So many bad calls, mostly in favor of Clemson, pretty much the entire time. Then there was one or two at the end of the game where Cade Klubnik, I don't know if anyone watched the Monday Night Football game last night, but it was a similar situation to that, where Cade Klubnik gets sacked because he gets his neck snapped, like John Wickstyle, where the guy just like rips it like that, and he just goes to the ground. It was bad, terrible calls on all sides. But Clemson, once again, man, I believe SMU scored a touchdown with 15 seconds left?
Yes.
And they ran the kickoff halfway back the field, got one play, got right down. Then the freshman kicker walks up and drills a 58 or 55, whatever it was, yarder to win the game. Clemson has won a lot of games to death. They're a lot better team than their record suggests. The issue is Phil Maffa is hurt. Not great. They're running back. And Cade just loves a back-breaking pick. So we'll see. I sneaky think they might have the best quarterbacks that starts in their game against Texas, but we'll get into that matchup going forward.
Yeah.
But I don't like Clemson to get hot because they have a lot of talent on this team.
Especially if Mappa plays.
They still got a lot of talent on this team.
When we get
to fall off a cliff soon, but we'll see.
When we get to talk about Clemson, I talked to a few Clemson people, and they have their own opinions about Cade.
Yeah, well, so
not great.
It's mixed reviews, actually. So
yeah, we'll get into the big game. the Big Ten championship, which everybody, I mean, most people seemed like they thought this was going to kind of be a blowout, and it turned out to be pretty much almost the opposite of that for a while.
I mean, at one point it was 28-10, and I thought Oregon was just well on their way to walking to a win.
So we'll start off right at the beginning. It was 45-37, the final score. Oregon, right down the first drive, marches down the field, scores a touchdown. Kenyon Sadiq passing touchdown from Dylan Gabriel, and everybody's like, "Oh man, this is gonna be interesting." Penn State kind of drives down the field, kicks field goal. I mean, they could have probably went for it on fourth down, or kind of adjusted on third down to get closer, if I remember correctly.
Yes. They threw an incomplete pass.
Yeah, they could have ran the ball and tried to get close. I mean, the run game seemed like it was working pretty well. Kaytron Allen had an unbelievable game, 124 and a touchdown. Jordan James had 20 and 87 for 2 touchdowns. I mean, the Tyler Warren, great. I mean, Tyler Warren's just still unbelievable. I mean, he had a really, really bad drop at one point, and then if I remember correctly, in the second half, Drew Larth overthrew the ball. But yeah, I mean, the difference in this game, because Penn State outgained them, the difference in this game was just Drew's. I mean, he just has these problems in big games where he throws interceptions. Had 2 really bad ones in this game. The first one kind of set up, if I remember correctly, Oregon to score, and then the last one was to end the game. But yeah, I mean, every time Oregon would get kind of a big lead, Penn State would bounce right back into it. And then I know in the second half it was about 38-20. And then Penn State scored. They went for 2, which we can talk about at the end. Let's just finish. Okay, let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now.
This is the most absurd thing I have. James Franklin does so many absurd things, but this is one of the most absurd things I've ever seen. You are down by 14. You cut it to 8. And you decide, I'm going to go for 2 because at least one of these times I'm going to make the 2-point conversion. And you literally take your team out of it. If you're going to go for 2, you go for 2 if you're down by 1 point and you go for the win. Don't go for 2 in this situation. At least just kick the extra point. I mean, am I wrong in thinking that?
I just don't think it was right. I don't think it was a good time to call it.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Blake's going to have pushback.
What?
No, Blake agrees.
The extra point.
Again, I have no problem if you go for 2. Just stop doing your cute gimmick bullshit that you always do. Look, I mean, the fact that Penn State was even in this game is kind of embarrassing. Again, it leads on to my whole thing that every team sucks this year and that this is the worst year of college football we've had in God knows how long, which makes me even more angry that Michigan's not involved. Because there's not many teams. I feel like South Carolina can win this whole thing. I feel like Florida could win this whole thing. There's so many teams I think that could win this. I don't think there's many people that can't. I don't know, but I thought it was a really fun game. I mean, it was great to watch. Very fun. I know people a lot of people I think it was JD Pickett or whatever, the wannabe Josh Pate from On 3, that guy. He was like, I felt like I watched a national championship game after the SEC championship game. I'm like, how could you not say that after watching Penn State, Oregon? But it is what it is. Oregon beats you in so many different ways. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I think that the biggest problem for this game was just Penn State could not stop Oregon on defense. And I mean, I could understand if James was saying, let's go for 2, because we're either going to go up and then get 1 stop at the end and then kick a game-winning extra point, or we're going to have to go for 2 again and then play for overtime. I mean, they just needed 1 stop. They got it, and then Drew kind of made a huge mistake throwing a deep fade interception, and that was basically the end of the game. So, I mean, that's pretty much all we had from last week. That's all the games from there. Now we can move on to the bracket, which has been announced, which is kind of exciting. Some of the matchups are good. Some of the matchups are going to be like, Are they going to be good? They're going to be bad? We don't know. So we'll start at the top. The number 12 seed Clemson gets in. They play number 5 Texas. We'll just kind of go through and see our thoughts. Spread is -11 to Texas. Cozzi, we'll start with you.
-11 to Texas, man. We skipped over the most important stuff, but it's fine.
What did we skip over?
Army, Navy.
Oh, well,
it doesn't matter.
Oh, it does. Army's going to win.
Yeah. Like you're telling us, like we know this. They're going to win by probably 20.
Okay. So, look. Okay. So, talking about Kate Klubnik, I mentioned it. I talked to some Clemson fans, and I talked to a few in Spaces. What they're asking out of Cade is they need a full 4 quarters out of Cade, and they believe that he only plays like half the game, and he has the back-breaking interceptions, or he has the first half interceptions where he just looks god-awful in the first half, and then the second half he comes out and he's just firing on all cylinders. Look, I'm going to say, man, Clemson's going to cover this game. This game is not going to be an 11-point spread. Like, they're going to cover this game. Look, there was a period where Cade was on fire against App State, NC State, Stanford, Florida State, Wake Forest, Virginia. Okay, that's great. That was good, Cade. They've said since then, it's a tale of 2 halves every single week. Louisville, Virginia Tech, Pitt, South Carolina game, where he just isn't putting it all together. Where I think he did that against SMU as well. He had a great first half, and then the second half he played terrible. I think this game hinges more on how Cade plays and how he limits his turnovers than it does actually Texas. Because if Clemson can put 3 touchdowns on the board, I think they win this game. Because Texas' offense is in a sputter right now. Excuse me. And the other thing is, Sark, he's like almost like stubborn to the point where he doesn't want to establish the run at all. And I get that's partially his offense, but you have Quinn Ewers there who's struggling right now to make plays, complete passes. I think Texas wins this game, but I definitely think Clemson covers. I think Clemson covers easily.
Yeah, I am. I was debating in my head. Blake said Natty for Texas. After what I watched the other day, I don't even think that they can win this game.
And I'm taking the under 51.5.
I don't even know if they can win this game. Clemson, if Maffa plays, I think they can win this game. Absolutely. This is like one of those that crazy seeding that you see in the basketball tournament where it's the 5 versus 12, 6 versus whatever. But I think that this game will be closer. I think I'll take the Clemson plus the 11. It's a good start.
Listen, I think Texas.
Actually, by the way, that's my lock of the first round. Clemson plus 11.
There you go. I think Texas will cover. I think the over will hit as well. Texas will be able to eat on the secondary of Clemson, which has struggled all season. Up front, Clemson's got a lot of pressure. When they're playing SMU, they're able to get home against an inexperienced offensive line. Texas has arguably the best offensive line in football. I think they'll be able to hold their own for sure. Quinn will probably have 1 or 2 bad ones, but Cade will definitely give you 1 or 2. I think they'll get a short field or 2. And Sark refuses to run the ball. I think he could, potentially use this as a flex spot. They're pissed. They've looked good against every team they've played except one, which they lost to twice. And they wouldn't have to play that team until the national championship if they get there. So I think Texas wins here pretty comfortably. And, it shows just the difference in level between the SEC and the ACC.
Yeah. All right. Next game.
Okay.
We'll just keep moving. We'll go back. We'll go. We'll do Friday first. Then we'll go.
Okay.
State. Then we'll go Ohio State. All right. So we'll go back Friday at 8 p.m. It should be interesting. Notre Dame hosts as the number 7 seed. Indiana, the 10 seed. Notre Dame -7.5 is the spread. Cozzi, let's start with you again. And we'll go
I think I've seen Indiana play one highly ranked team in person. And I think Ohio State, Indiana is a lot closer if the punter doesn't mishandle the snap. If they can't tackle Caleb Downs, I think it might be a little bit closer. I still think Ohio State wins that game. But, man, I think Notre Dame might actually be for real. I hate to say that. I can't stand to say it. But I think they've found something like with Riley Leonard. Man, it's very tough to determine like what Indiana team we're going to get, what Notre Dame team we're going to get. Because if you really look and break down Notre Dame's schedule, they have not been look, I get you played Navy. I get you played Army. Okay, we get it. Like, you destroyed them. You also destroyed a Georgia Tech team who I believe I don't think Haynes King played.
Haynes King did not play against
Yes,
them.
he did not play. Correct, yes. So that's why that had a lot of impact on that. Look, man, I in good conscience, I can't do it, but go IU. Hopefully they cover.
Yeah, I'm taking Notre Dame. I think that they're going to dominate. Everybody's talking about Indiana's stopping the run.
I know.
They've played one game. I think Notre Dame, they're going to get up for this game. They're going to be prepared. This could kind of be like the USC game. I could feel where it starts off close, but I think Notre Dame pulls away at the end by 10 or so. I think that's just how it's going to go.
It's very simple. Look at the ticket price if you want to know how hyped up Notre Dame is for this. Okay.
Yeah.
This is their first big game they've had at home in a long time.
I'm going to be honest with you. That ticket price is high because Indiana fans are shelling out.
They might. I mean, obviously, nice for Indiana. They don't have to travel very far. I mean, is this the first in-state? I'm trying to think. When's the last time there was a big in-state game like this? I guess the Iron Bowl, but like, you know what I mean? Like this level of game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think Notre Dame is in a league of their own when it comes to a team against Notre Dame. Team like going against Indiana. 7.5's a lot of points. I think Indiana keeps it close. Notre Dame will win. I like that. What's his name's talking smack in the pregame already. Freeman. I like that a lot. He's like, oh, I Googled him. He wins everywhere. Blah, blah, blah. He kind of like did his own thing back to him, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, he's so good if he could eat those words.
The under just seems free because Notre Dame just runs the ball. They physically can't throw the ball. They're like they're like Michigan on crack because Riley Leonard can't throw a football. But yeah, we'll see how it ends up going. I mean, I don't really have a pick on the spread. I guess I would lean Indiana. I think Notre Dame will win, but I'm more like the under. Sneaky good game, but I'm surprised it's a standalone game. I really thought they would put Penn State or Ohio State as a standalone game, but that's a whole different thing. I don't know. I thought a Friday night Penn State whiteout would be way better, but
yep. Speaking of that, we'll move on to that. Penn State, SMU.
They got big noon again.
They got noon.
They got big noon again.
Yeah.
Not even on Fox.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I will say this. So they hyped this up as they wanted to have Penn State whiteout in the playoffs and how awesome it would be. And then they got the noon kickoff. I think it's hilarious. It's kind of made their fan base pretty upset. There is something about this game that I can't – everything points to Penn State should win this game pretty handily. Everything. Except one thing. And it's James Franklin. That is the only thing that I can think of at this moment that is going to hold Penn State back from winning this game handily. I think this line has grown. I believe when it opened up, it was 7.5. It is now 9. I don't know. I am thinking that there's going to be a decent amount of points in this game, though. I'll take the 53.5 over. I don't really want to know a spread. I don't know a spread. I will say this. There's one thing that comes into this that I do like. I did like to see SMU at the end of the game come back against Clemson, because had they gotten blown out, I don't know that they make the playoffs. I think the committee really looks at it even further in depth and goes, okay, you just got blown out by Clemson, who got blown out by Georgia, and Alabama beat Georgia. And yeah, we want to play connect the dots, but I think them coming back really saved their playoff hopes. So maybe they're the team that takes advantage of a second life, because I know they went into Selection Sunday and it was them or Bama, and everyone held their breath until they put SMU in. I don't know. I like the grit out of the SMU team to fight back. I mean, Jennings is awesome. I think, man, I think I'm going to talk myself into it. SMU covers the 9.5. Maybe this is where I think you see the upset, because I believe, is it correct? James Franklin is 2 and
top 10. This is number 11.
No, he's 0 and 12 against top 10, but he's 2 and I thought he was 2 and
he's 0 and 10 now as an underdog.
Oh, he's 0 and 10 now as an underdog?
Yep. But
I thought he was 2 and
2 and 25 as against ranked teams or something.
There we go. 2 and 25. Yes.
Crazy number.
Yeah, it's terrible. So who knows what he's going to do?
Yeah. So lock of the week this week, SMU +9. Yeah, this Penn State team is not prepared for what Kevin Jennings is about to bring to the table. There's nothing. I mean, if you compare who they've played, I mean, the closest that they played is Dylan Gabriel, and I would still say Kevin Jennings is more electric. Yeah, I mean, SMU might shock the world in this game. I won't say that they're going to win, but they're going to put up a good fight. I mean, this Penn State whiteout, you can call it a whiteout. It's a noon game. We've seen what happens when Penn State plays at noon in some of these games, where they just they get all hyped up, and then the energy level kind of balances off, and then the other team kind of figures them out. Yeah, SMU +9 is my lock of the week. I feel pretty confident in saying that. I mean, they have everything that they would need to compete in this game. And I don't know if Penn State can do back-to-back weeks of going into a game where they have to score a bunch of points. I mean, I don't think we've seen it a ton, because their heavy competition was so spread out this season, where if you look at it, like they played Ohio State is really low scoring. They played, Oregon is really high scoring. I don't know. And how much can SMU affect them trying to throw the ball to Tyler Warren? We'll see. So, Blake?
So this is the interesting part for me, is there's actually a little bit of crossover you can see here between something. This is the thing that I've been looking at in this game. I do like Penn State in this game. I don't know what to do with the total. I think Penn State wins. I mean, Penn State's going to win. SMU might backdoor, which is be annoying. But Kevin Jennings was an absolute hell against Duke. I don't know if anyone knows who Duke's DC or head coach is.
Yes.
Manny Diaz. So
yes,
very
correct.
similar system to what they run there. He threw for 3 picks. He had only 40 yards rushing. Didn't really get off the ground. They kind of had him contained. Again, SMU could not handle the trenches of Clemson. Okay. And if you can't handle them, you have a whole other thing coming with that Penn State offensive line. I think SMU kind of fits in that James Franklin not elite team he loves to just beat up on. I don't want to call them a Maryland type team because that's pretty disrespectful, but I don't think they're in that level of James Franklin's going to freak out. He's going to do everything he can. You're going to have Colton Necky doing Tyler Warren's going to do a cartwheel in the backfield, and he's going to bicycle kick a ball forward into the end zone. That'll be a play they'll try to do this week. I think Penn State wins. I think Penn State covers. And I do like the under. I think SMU could be in trouble here. I'm seeing like a I don't know, 31-20 type game. I think Penn State will be fine, and they'll be in for a whole world of hurting next week potentially. So,
and then to the final game, the nightcap of the weekend. Number 8, Ohio State at the Horseshoe hosts the Tennessee Volunteers in what could be probably one of the most anticipated games of the weekend. Mr. Cozzi, let's hear it.
You guys can go first. This is my team. You guys can go first. I'll go last.
Okay. Yeah.
my team too. Zack goes first.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game. I don't know what to expect. Ohio State coming off a loss to Michigan adds a little bit of a wrinkle into my thoughts of like, will they get up to play this game, and how will the offense look compared to how it looked 2 weeks ago? I mean, this is a game where Ohio State should win. This is a game where they are at home. It's a night game. They haven't had a night game in a long time. They should win this. They should honestly, their defense is so good that they should have Nico in hell as he's traveling onto the road, and it should be cold. But I don't know what to expect, so I'm taking Tennessee plus 7.5 because I don't know what to expect. It could go one way or another. Ohio State could run the ball all over Tennessee. I mean, the same could be said for Tennessee. Or Nico could throw 3 picks. I don't know. So we'll just go with that. That's a safe play, and we'll go from there.
So I've been excited for this game for a long time because we've pretty much known this is a game for like 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
I've been so torn because I think this is the second best offense that Ohio State has faced this year. We're definitely going to learn an answer to a question. It is, can Ryan Day not beat teams better than him, or is it he just can't beat Michigan? And we're going to find out that pretty quickly because Tennessee, people don't watch college football. I learned this. The people I talk to a lot don't watch college football, right? Because here's the whole thing. Tennessee doesn't nearly throw the ball as much as they used to. They still run that hurry up, but they love pounding the rock.
Yep.
Dylan Sampson is a top 5 running back in the country. Okay. We were talking about it earlier in one of the chats. Is he the best running back they're facing this year? I would say yes. I think it's not a crazy thing to say. And when you look at how how Ohio State's done against stopping elite running backs, I guess you could say you put maybe Mullings in elite running back territory. Who knows? But like Caleb Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to stop Caleb Johnson when you're playing Iowa or you're playing Michigan, right? Because Iowa threw for 100 yards, Michigan threw for 60.
Yeah.
When you got a guy that actually can throw a Nico, I know it's been questionable at times. We'll see what happens. If Tennessee's O-line can slow down and give a clean pocket to Nico a few times, all Tennessee needs is one deep shot. Like every once in a while, you'll look at games and I'll get a notification for Tennessee and it'll be like 88-yard touchdown, 94-yard touchdown. Like they love those deep shots, right? They'll run it. As soon as you have to put one guy more in the box, if you don't think Josh Heupel is looking at having, whether it be Chris Brazil, Squirrel White, even Mike Matthews, Dante Thornton in one-on-ones against Denzel Burke, it'll be a repeat of the Oregon game. That's if their O-line can hold up. Sawyers was playing out of his mind against Michigan. I'm allowed to say it now. We're enough. We're deep enough removed where I can compliment him. JTT still does nothing. But Sawyer's at least trying. Tyleek was all right. But if they can get that run game going, it's gonna be a problem. Now, Michigan, because if people are trying to compare Michigan and Tennessee, which is funny. Tennessee is an elite rusher, very elite edge rusher in James Pierce, but he's the only one. So if you can have not Simmons. Who's the good lineman you have left that's alive? Is Donovan Jackson?
Yeah, Donovan Jackson. He's our left.
You just have him be your left tackle and just take him out of the game, whatever. Those two cancel each other out like a chess piece. The rest of the line sucks, but the rest of Tennessee's D-line isn't great. So I think you'll be able to run a ball a bit more. Judkins has done good against him in past. I think he was a freshman when that the Matt Corral throwing the shit on the field game. I think he was a freshman for that game. I don't know how many times he ran. I know they had Steve Connor and stuff back then, but we're getting too much into the weeds. Ohio State Tennessee's got like one good corner. I don't know the kid's name. Sorry, I don't
Will Brooks.
There you go. They have one good corner. The linebackers are all right. They had a really good kid, Peely, but he tore his ACL a few weeks ago.
Arion Carter's the real deal.
Yeah, they've got some guys on defense, right? But it's not nearly as disciplined and as experienced as Michigan guys, and they don't deal with the run as much because who's one of the best rushing teams that Tennessee's played this year? You know, they played Arkansas, and Arkansas just played ball control. So as funny as it is, if Ohio State does the same game plan they did against Michigan, it might actually work. I know people don't want to hear that, and it'll get people really pissed. And the people that call themselves fans that will be booing their ass off the second they hand the ball off on first down right out of the gate will get pissed. But if Ohio State can establish a run, it's game over. It's funny because if you look at this game and you put it in the same lens of this game, I think obviously it's probably a very dumb hot take from Blake here. Hold on. The team that runs the ball better is going to win the game. No shit. But I think it's more important in this game than it is. Tennessee. The other thing that's very interesting to me, and I think this is, I don't know if I can make this my lock of the week. I'll let you guys can tell me if I can do this or not. My lock of the week is, if allowed, whoever scores first is going to the football game. I don't know if that's allowed.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know if we could do that metric.
We'll allow it.
Because both of these two teams suck in the first quarter. Tennessee especially. Tennessee has not scored in half their games this year in the first half. And the games they have is like against Kent State, freaking UTEP. Give me a break. Ohio State, obviously, they just start slow usually too. I know. I'm trying to think. Them scoring on the first drive last week. When was that? The first time in a long time? I think they might have done it against Indiana too. But there was a while there where Ohio State traditionally starts slow. But I don't like the words that are about to come out of my mouth. I think Ohio State wins. I think they cover. I think it might be a new Ryan Day bullshit cover late. Like Ohio State might be up 3 or 4 and punch one in as time expires type thing. I could see that happening. I just don't think I was always of the notice this year that Ohio State was like the Banks, but this is 2008, and I thought that they were too big to fail. I think they'll be able to establish the run, which will then free up the pass. I don't think Ohio State can lose this game. I mean, they would need, because Tennessee sneaky is almost the opposite of Ryan Day, where the only big game they win is Alabama. Other than that, I mean, Georgia kills them every year. And I think Georgia kind of does the same thing that Tennessee does, where it's like, hey, they got these elite pass rushers up front. I don't know, elite pass rusher. I just said that. Ugh. They have NFL players on their D-line, and they are able to establish the run and then hit some deep shots, which obviously Ohio State can do. So, because you can't stack the box against Ohio State with those guys on the outside. So I think Ohio State wins. I think Ohio State covers. Obviously, I'll be rooting for the opposite result, but I'm, if nothing but honest, and I like the under. I think the under is too easy to the point where it worries me, but I think it literally could be a copy of the game a few weeks ago. But I think the best thing that might have happened as Ohio State team is losing to Michigan, and I think they'll learn that down the stretch. I do think this team can bounce back more than people realize. Will they win it all? No. Will the Rose Bowl be absolutely awesome in a classic Rose Bowl matchup the week after? Yes. Will it be a war in an all-time Rose Bowl? Yes. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It would be sick to see Tennessee in a Rose Bowl, because a stat that came across my desk was if Tennessee wins the Rose Bowl, they're the first team to win every bowl game. That's what someone said to me. I don't know if that's every bowl game or the major bowl games.
Okay, I was going to say that it can't be every bowl game, because. And
I don't think that that could be a right stat to winning every year 6 bowl game, but who knows?
Here's a
sure haven't won the Natty.
Hold on, actually, it could be.
Yeah,
they won the Fiesta Bowl. They won their national championship at the Fiesta Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Georgia's won away as well. I think Georgia hasn't.
I believe that they won the Sugar Bowl. They definitely won the Sugar Bowl. They've definitely won the Orange Bowl, and they've definitely won the Peach Bowl.
Who knows?
So
yeah, another stat real quick before Cozzi goes. Ohio State. This is their first game in school history of their program, and they've been a team since 1890, that they're hosting a game in December. First game ever.
Yeah, but I think that's going to be for a lot of teams, though.
Yeah, I know, but that's just crazy.
That's going to be for a lot of teams.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, man, this game, December 21st, 8 p.m. Blake is actually 100% right on this. In Tennessee, first off, these two teams are the two teams who are winning games, but they are the slowest starting teams ever. Like, Tennessee went 4 weeks in a row where they didn't score a first half touchdown. Like, that is actually, I think they went 3 weeks in a row where they didn't score any points in the first half.
Tennessee?
Yes.
They went a month. They
I'm
scored
pretty
against Florida.
They did not score against. They didn't score against.
Yeah, it was Florida. It was after Oklahoma, and then the next game was Florida.
What Arkansas? They didn't score either in the first
No,
half.
no, I'm saying like they scored. The last time they scored in the first half was against Oklahoma, and then they scored against Florida.
Correct.
That stretch without it.
So Florida, or Arkansas, Florida, Alabama, they did not score any points in the first half until they scored a touchdown late in the second quarter against Kentucky. They literally went basically 7.5 out of 8 quarters without scoring any points in the first half. They are the definition of starting out slow. Even Ohio State doesn't do that. They at least score points in the second quarter. So if you really want to break it down, you want to look at it. Look, Blake said it perfectly. Sampson is a great running back. Defense, like offensively, Nico is going to try his deep shots with Thornton.
He's streaky, man. He's streaky.
Yes.
And he's on. When he's off, he's off.
And that's the other thing. Look, you are putting a freshman out there in a big position in a 106,000 seat stadium that is going to be a lot of pissed off fans, because a lot of people who went to the Michigan game are now pissed off. And yeah, we're mad at the team, but this is one of those things. And I can tell you, all Buckeye fans are starting to be like, okay, we lost, but we have a golden opportunity here, because we have Tennessee at home. And then if you win that game, you go play a team that you lost by a point. And the bracket after that, if you can win the Rose Bowl, really sets up nice. And you're in a semifinal game. Like,
I don't know, but you guys got screwed. The bottom half is a joke.
Yeah, the bottom half is.
Oh, I get it. But
someone put this tweet, and I'm going to read this to you, Cozzi, and I want you to listen to me. Okay.
Well, I already know what happen.
I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say.
I know.
Ryan Day has to beat Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Georgia to win a natty.
Correct.
Like, when you say it like that, that's objectively nuts.
I'm going to say it even one further. He has to beat Tennessee at home. He has to go to California to play Oregon, which is a West Coast team, in the Rose Bowl. He then will have to play Texas in the state of Texas in Dallas.
The Cotton Bowl, right?
Yes. And then would go to the national title game against Georgia in Atlanta. It would be nuts.
And then think about it. If you're Penn State, right, you go, I got to beat SMU at home. Then I got to beat what?
Boise.
Boise State, which they're already touchdown and a half favorite.
Where is Boise's game? Where is Boise's
Fiesta
game?
Bowl.
Where is it?
Fiesta. So at least it's
Are
close.
they at the Fiesta? Okay.
The funniest one is Arizona State against Texas. I think it's it's the Sugar Bowl.
Yes, they have to go all the way across because of the location.
They get last pick. They get smoked.
Wait, why did they get last pick? Because I thought there was bowl tie-ins.
No, they're fourth.
I thought there was bowl tie-ins and they could pick.
No, it's like how it was in the playoff the last few years. The top seed picks where they go, basically. So.
Oh, because they reported that the Big Ten champ had no say in it. They were automatically going to
most geographically close, which is the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, but I mean, if Ohio State had won, they were automatically going to the Rose Bowl anyways.
Exactly.
Which
they trust me, they have it. Don't worry.
Okay, whatever it is. I'll just say this: it would be an amazing run if we made it. I'm going to take one game at a time, and I think a lot of fans are. There's not as much expectation, to be honest with you. because everyone's like, oh man, we lost to Michigan. Like this team is just bad. But I think there's so much parity in college football. I think everyone is starting to think that this Ryan Day might not have a big game problem. It might literally be a Michigan problem, and that's it. And in today's age in college, if you lose to Michigan in the regular season, you could still win a national championship. And Ryan Day has been and he was brought up in the NFL systems coaching wise. He is okay with losing a game or two. Like this system actually fits Ryan Day better. But look, this game, it's going to be 8:00 on a Saturday night.
I'm going to miss the second half.
I really want to know what like Nico's going to like. What's going to happen with like Nico in the cold environment with maybe being windy? Who knows? Look, I think that you have this offensive line who has now played 2 games together. They're going to play a 3rd game in a row. They're not going to face 2 first-round defensive tackles again, so we should be able to run the ball. But excuse me. That being said, I mean, Tennessee's defense isn't terrible. They do play as a unit.
Defense is elite.
They do play well as a unit. They
Shout out their D coordinator from Detroit. Good man.
They
from Penn State too. So
here's the thing, though. Arian Carter's awesome.
Yeah.
James Pierce is awesome. He has great. I mean, he rushes the quarterback amazing. But their defensive tackles are what is just terrible. Look, we got to take advantage of that. And you know what? Honestly, like Blake said, run the ball actually up the middle this time. Now.
Because you're not running into 2 superhuman freaks.
Yes. Now, are we going to utilize the pass game? I don't know. I have no idea. There are so many weapons on our team. The other thing is Will Howard seems to be back to normal. Obviously there was rumors of complications. I'm not going to, you can roll your eyes all you want.
But hit in the shoulder. God damn it.
I can confirm that he had a concussion. So we'll just say that.
And you guys should be banned from the playoff. That's player safety.
Hey,
what people were saying about Connor Stallions was lack of institutional control and putting players in danger.
Well,
okay.
Hey, what can I say? You guys actually, it affected the outcome of the game. We threw a player out there who supposedly wasn't concussion, but he passed concussion protocol, but he was not right in the head. People said that.
Good news was he already threw the worst pick of the game before he got concussed, but can carry on.
So yeah, let's
anyways,
we'll make some predictions here. First, I want to give a quick shout to the 1st seed Oregon Ducks, the 2nd seed Georgia Bulldogs, the 3rd seed.
Do I get to pick my game?
He didn't even pick his game yet.
Oh, Jesus Christ! You went for 20 minutes. Let's go. What do we got?
Yeah, I'm taking us to cover, and I'm taking the over actually.
Okay, and then the 3rd seed Boise State Broncos and the 4th seed Arizona State.
Sun Devils.
I fucking blanked for a second there. I literally was staring at it.
We got to get rid of auto bids.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So now, before the tournament starts, we shall make who are your 2 teams in the championship and who wins. Cozzi, go first. Top pick. Let's see who's right. We'll see.
Can I do the winner of the Rose Bowls and the national champion?
No.
Nope. You have to pick 2 teams and then pick a winner.
Go first. I already got mine. I'm going to go first.
Go ahead, then, Blake. If you got
Texas, Notre Dame.
Okay. Well, they can't play. Oh yeah, they can. Never mind.
And Texas wins 24-16.
Man, I'm contradicting myself, but Ohio State, Penn State, national title.
Oh,
God, Lord help us.
Ohio State wins 26-21.
I thought you were going to say Julian Fleming catches a game-winning pass over.
You mean they just like EA Sports did?
Yeah, I'm going Oregon Notre Dame. Oregon Notre Dame. I think that's a good
I just couldn't put Notre Dame in my national championship. I just couldn't do it.
I think if there's a team from the bottom half, I mean it's so stacked up easily that if Notre Dame gets on a run, man,
I wish they gave the 3 seed to Arizona State because they could make the championship game in the bottom half. God damn it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Oregon Notre Dame, and I'm gonna take the Ducks to win their first ever national championship. It seems like it's all destiny for them to win it. This is the year, and I think that it's like a
that'd be the
worst. like a 14-point win too.
That'd be the worst.
What if Oregon won?
Yeah.
I think Oregon Notre Dame and Oregon wins. So that's my prediction.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'd kill myself in that game. Oh, that's almost the worst outcome. But think about how funny it would be, by the way, if Penn State loses to Boise State. How hysterical that would be. James Franklin, we lost to a higher ranked team.
I mean, tell me it wouldn't be funny.
Wait. I have to ask. Okay, if Penn State makes it through, are they favored against Boise State?
Yes,
they're.
Yes.
The look ahead spread is I think 9.5 or 10.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Texas is like 13.5 over Arizona State.
I did see Notre Dame was favored.
If you look ahead spread of Notre Dame, Georgia,
yeah, they would be favored.
Notre Dame minus 2.
I know,
dude. Yep.
I might hop on that. I think I said Notre Dame, but I kind of like Georgia. But I think Notre Dame. It'd be really funny though if Texas beat Georgia after losing them twice.
Yeah.
Because Georgia, I think you give them a month basically to get with this new quarterback in the system.
Yep.
I wanted Rashad to come in for fun, but he wanted to win more than have fun, idiot. But that's pretty much it. Cozzi, if you want to do your little Army Navy, I don't know if you want to have a little standalone, but
yeah, I'll be quick about it.
Little Army Navy, that sounded bad. My apologies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what the hell? Hey,
this game could have been so much more fun.
Yes, this game could have been so much more fun had it been back-to-back weeks, basically, which would have been pretty awesome.
Or if UNLV beat Army, or UNLV beat Boise, it would have been, this game would have been fun.
Well, okay, so I gotta ask, if Army, yes, they went 11-1. Had UNLV beat Boise, UNLV would have been in the tournament, right? Correct? Maybe?
Yeah.
No? I don't know. Anyways, the only complaint I have really is I don't know what conference ties are. And look, it's cool. Army's playing Marshall, etc. That's cool, whatnot. Look, I get it's bowl season, stuff like that. I am taking Army, by the way, to win. I think Army wins this game kind of handfully, not going to lie. Like maybe I'm overconfident in it. I just think the way that Army has played this year, they're the better quality team. They cover that 6.5. They cover the spread. Take the under, though. I don't think Navy's going to score that many points. I think Navy scores 10. And I think it's 21-10, 28-10. That's still the under, 38.5. Yeah, I think it's like 21-10, 28-10. Only complaint I have, like I said, is Army is going to go play Marshall in a bowl game. Navy got Oklahoma and Tulane got Florida.
So
why?
So they actually did something pretty cool here.
Okay? I know what I was actually going to say, and this is very cool.
So they took the 4 conference champions of the teams that didn't make the playoff, and they all played each other, and that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that they did that because then that adds some sort of competition to see, like, it's almost like a bracket. You know what I mean? It's like they won't play a final game, but they're going to play half of a bracket and see which team is the best of the conferences that didn't make.
Also, the Army uniforms this week are sick. I mean, both uniforms are sick, like normal. Yeah. Army uniforms are Battle of the Bulge representation, and it's pretty cool to see. So you're going to see on the side of Army's helmets are going to be diamonds, hearts, spades, or what's the last card?
Clubs.
Diamonds, spades, and what?
Clubs,
yeah. So clubs, it's all going to be on their helmets. Basically, that's how they communicated, was with playing cards in the battlefield, and they would throw it up, and that's how they would communicate in the Battle of the Bulge. So pretty interesting, pretty cool. And also the white powder that's all over their uniforms is to represent the snow, because Battle of the Bulge took place. Yes, it took place on December 16th.
They said like the gas was freezing in tanks, which I didn't know you could physically possible.
I didn't even know that was possible. So it was really, really cold. It's a very interesting story. Other than that, like I said, Army wins under. I don't think it's much of a sweat. I think they get out early. I think Navy puts maybe a touchdown in the second half. And yeah.
I think, yeah, that should be a good game. Hopefully it snows. I don't even know where the game is.
I want to say it's
usually in Philly, right?
Yeah, I want to say it's in Philly.
Hopefully
I mean, I would think Army wins, so that means I'm going to take Navy purely from the fact I feel like the underdog wins every year in this game.
Yeah.
It is actually in DC this year, I think. Wait, what's North? Yeah, it's in DC. Yeah.
Cool.
It's at that crap stadium in DC.
Nice. So,
and the weather is supposed to be like 50 degrees. That sucks.
Yeah. It's supposed to be 44 and sunny.
Dang it. No bad weather. But yeah, I think that's all we got. We'll be back after
playoff week.
After round one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Round
and then we'll hit the major bowl games after that, and then the second round. So, take Michigan while you can. I think it's 14.5 right now. By the time we record, it's going to be like 7.
I don't even know who's going to play on either team.
More guys will keep opting out on the other team, so we'll see.
But yeah,
that's all I got for now. Thank you guys for joining as always, and we'll see you guys next week.
Go Bucks.